so many doctors told me like, yo, security guards don't become doctors, bro. Like you ain't about to become no doctor, dog.
What's it like to be seen? You're seen by someone who's well established and they're saying like, nah, you can do this.
Man, it was everything. I went in the bathroom after he told me that, and I took the selfie of myself, like, and I was like, I'm gonna be a doctor. I recently got his cell phone number, and I sent him a text message. I don't know if you remember who I am, but here's who I am now. And I was like, I'm Dr. Russell Ledet, MD, PhD, MBA, and I'm a triple board resident. They were right. Security guards don't become doctors. They become double doctors.
Yo, what's good, everyone? I'm excited to have Dr. Russell Ledet. Now, is it Russell Ledet or is it Russell Ledet? Tell me the perfect way to say your name.
I'm really from Louisiana. I like that. So
okay.
It's really Ledet.
Okay, I got you. But welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you on. In essence, celebrity, dad, husband, resident, nonprofit organizer.
Yeah.
You got a lot of things going on. And, I've been thinking about the way in which to kind of introduce you, which we'll do formally before, people listen to this portion of the episode. But I just wanted to jump right into it because the story goes so many different ways with you. But where I want to start off with is let's start off at Yasso's, or is it Yasso's?
Yeah, Yasso.
My dude. Yeah. Yasso's, Jamaican food, Yasso's with, beef, like beef patty. Did you have cocoa bread at that time?
Yeah, cocoa bread, oxtail, you name it.
My man. Yeah. With your attendings, with your mentors. That doesn't usually happen at Indiana. Talk to me about that. Why'd you do that? Tell the audience why that is important. Why are we starting off with Jamaican food?
Yeah.
Let's go back from there. What's up with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I watch so many of my colleagues struggle to bring their full identity to medicine. They bring like maybe 25, 30% of it, but they don't bring their whole selves there. And
that restaurant, did it have the oxtails ready?
They had the oxtails ready. Yeah, they always have them ready for me. They know me. So, so when I get a moment to share with my mentors, I bring them where I'm from. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want them to think that like, my goal is to ascend to this ivory tower type place. My goal is to ascend back to where I'm from, because I guess the way I think about it is like, when I left my community, I left and created a void. And so my goal is to always come back and bring something back. And so by bringing my attendant who's paying for the meal, I'm bringing money back to the community. You know what I'm saying? But I'm also bringing knowledge back because now you got these people who eat this amazing food. And obviously food is such a strong part of our culture. That now they're like, yo, they bringing all their friends coming. And now there's more economics coming into the community. And I think sometimes the perception is, oh, I got to bring them to a fancy restaurant. Well, that Jamaican spot is a fancy restaurant to me. It's the best food I know, So
especially at resident salary, that's
yeah.
That's at least I'm assuming with all the people that you brought, that was at least $200.
Yeah. I mean, it's something nice. And when I go there and I know he paying for it, I order everything.
Did you get cola champagne and everything?
Yeah, I got everything, bro. They got this mango guava juice pressed. I get that too. I get food to bring to my kids home, bro. Like I just go ball out, and they know me there.
What was the timeline? This is your first year of residency?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was my first year of residency, and it meant everything to me because like that dude is like my big brother. His name is Dan Pino. He's a pediatrician at the clinic that I'm at. On West 38th in Eskenazi. But he's just like such an insightful dude, very philosophical in nature. But, he takes the time to not assume he knows things. He asks questions out of a place of true curiosity and wanting to know more. And then I can see the implementation when we're in the clinic, which is a whole different level. Because, it's one thing though to value someone's education and their knowledge and their lived experience. It's another thing to see it implemented in the clinic, in the way that he interact with patients. Almost all of our patients are either Haitian Creole from some part of South America or they're Black Americans. And
this is in Indiana. So this is Bloom's?
This is in Indiana. This is in Indianapolis, Indiana, on the west side. So it's almost all either immigrant population or Black Americans who are lower socioeconomics. And so some people are easy to come there and get the benefit they need and then leave, i.e., get their loans paid off and then keep it pushing. But then you got people who truly been there for forever, like Pino, and Thomas Klausmeyer. There's a bunch of people, Aaron Phipps, Stedging, who've been there and they believe in, what I'm saying, what it means to really contribute back to the community in a meaningful way, not only from a medicine perspective, but from a cultural perspective too. So it's heavy, man. And it's good because like he didn't hesitate to go to that spot. And since then we've gone back twice.
Okay. So for those, you kind of wondering why we started with that question. So Dr. Russell Ledet are you in your third year or your fourth year of residency
I'm in
now?
my second year now. I'm finishing up my
Second
second
year.
year next month.
He is in the second year of the famously known triple board residency that everybody knows as psychiatry, or
Yep.
excuse me, pediatrics, and then
Yep.
child and adolescent psychiatry program.
Yep.
I
Yep.
looked it up, there's only 12 programs in the country.
Yep. Yep.
Extremely
And so,
difficult to get into. And I think in 2 years ago, 2022, you were the only African American African American male, excuse me,
mhm.
to get into one of those programs.
Yep.
So in essence, you were a unicorn, or you are a
Yep.
unicorn.
And I'm
Um,
the first one here. Indiana's never had one.
they've never had a black male,
Nah,
really.
not
Okay.
ever.
So so it's very interesting then, because there's a lot of, I think a lot of people who if you're not African American, you're listening to this, you may be like, well, what's the big deal? There's a lot of pressure, right? You feel like
Yeah.
you have to hold up like an entire race.
Yeah.
You have to act right. You have to do all
Yeah.
these different things perfect, so that if someone behind you wants to come and they look like you, they want to get through, you know, you have to make sure that you are that pioneering person. And that's a
Yeah.
lot of pressure, right? That's a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
pressure, whether you
Yeah.
decide to take it on or not. So it's very interesting that, you started off by taking them all to a restaurant that you frequent to kind of just see and frequent like what it's like to be in your world. I just thought that was
Yeah.
really fascinating. That's why I wanted to start there. So,
Yeah. I mean, I almost always and purposely bring people into my world because it's so easy for it to be the other way. You think about people who go into residency in places they've never been before. They only frequent the places generally that their colleagues frequent.
yeah.
I try to make my way to, you know, to the hood. Like I almost always, because I want to understand the people who actually are from there, who live there, and get a feel for the real culture of the city as opposed to just being a parasite who just comes in and get what they want and then leave. It's oftentimes I find my colleagues being like, yo, this place is boring. I'm like, you don't really know nobody from here. You don't know anyone from here. Um, and that's always my challenge is like, yo, go meet the locals. Go sit
Mhm.
down, chop it up with them, join a djembe drum circle, go sit with some of the ancestors, go to some of the older churches and understand like the history of the city. Madam C.J. Walker was here. Of course they got rich history here. So much jazz come out of the city, you know. But I mean, I'm also in touch with, where I'm from, the people where I come from hold me accountable for not forgetting where I come from. And so it makes it easy for me to do the same thing when I come to a place
Mm.
like Indiana.
You know, if you look at a lot of the old medical schools and the old medical universities, they're actually in very old
Yep.
neighborhoods
Yep.
that are either inner city or just
Yep.
older neighborhoods where you may see a significant amount of minority populations. But when you go inside the institution, it doesn't look like the
Nope.
surrounding neighborhood. And even those who look like they would be from the neighborhood, oftentimes
Nope.
they're not acting the way in which you would expect someone in the neighborhood, whether or not that's a good or bad thing, right? Like
Yeah.
it's almost like once you become part of the medical institution, like you become part of the system and so forth, right? The
Mhm.
reason I'm bringing that up is in essence, you were kind of one of those locals when you started,
Mhm.
right? Because
Yeah.
the story with you is that you started off as a security guard
Yeah.
working in was it at which hospital? Was it
Louisiana and
Tulane?
Baton Rouge. No, it was at Baton Rouge General Hospital in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This
Right.
is
So
after
you
I
started
got
off as a
out of the
security guard,
military. Yeah,
right?
I started out as a security guard. I come out of the military. I come up after duty. I was in the reserves by then. And I just got a job as a security guard at a hospital because
And nobody's paying
essentially,
attention. Like this is one of the
nah.
more superficial relationships, right? People come in, they say what's up to
Yeah.
you, was good, I'm out, and then they leave.
And they
But
ain't thinking like, yo, like,
this
it's
could be
so
my
many,
colleague.
Nah. I mean, as a matter of fact, most of them, so many doctors told me like, yo, security guards don't become doctors, bro. Like you ain't about to become no doctor, dog. I remember like this one doctor,
So
I
as a
never forget
security
him.
guard, you wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah, like because
Okay.
I mean, I came there as a security guard and I was majoring in social work. Like I just wanted to be a social. Honestly, I wanted to be the food stamp plug. I wanted to go back to my community and just run it up. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Make sure everybody could get something. Because I understood how hard it was to like get food in general. I grew up like that. So my thought process was I'm going to college to become a social worker and then I can help people in my community get food stamps. And but you know how medicine can bite you. Like medicine can absolutely encapsulate you if you see it in the right if you see it at the right time in your life, when you're still vulnerable and you don't really understand your capabilities or what your possibilities of life are, and you see like traumas coming through the ER, you see
Hmm.
stroke alerts, you see heart attacks, you see all these things and you're like, dang, like that's such a cool job. You get to see people resuscitated, you see IOs get put in and chest tubes and all the GSWs getting treated and all these
Look,
other
look,
things.
hey man, you get me excited. This is my world, yo. You know what I'm
You know what I'm
saying? Come
saying?
on,
Like
yo.
when you see it, you like, yo, it's kind of crazy because I recently intubated a kid who was in status, and it literally took me back to the moment when I was the security guard standing outside of the trauma bay, watching somebody else intubate somebody who had just gotten a GSW, and I was like, dang man, it's crazy how those flashbacks come back. But essentially, all those moments, mesmerized me, and I was like, yo, I can't imagine not being able to do this. But I didn't know what I was barking up that tree. I didn't know what
Hmm.
it took to get into medicine. So I was just asking doctors like, yo, can I shadow you? Can you,
As they
come on,
passing
man.
through,
Yeah,
as they
like
go through the metal detectors, hey, what you
yes.
do?
Yeah, so there's this image. You know how like when you go to the hospital, there's like a parking lot in the front of the hospital that the doctors park the fancy cars in,
Hmm.
and they walk up the steps and they cross over the hump, and then they walk into the hospital, and there's a security guard just standing there who's like
Hmm.
helping
Yeah.
people get in and out of their car or whatever. And every time a doctor would pass by, I'd be like, "Yo, what do you do? Like, where did you go to school?" Some of them be like, "I went to Harvard." I say, "Oh, you got an MBA too? Where'd you get that from?" They're like, "Oh, I went to Harvard Business School." I'm like, dang, like how long did that take? Because this is all stuff that I was really naive and
So this
that
is
would be
small
like,
talk that you having.
yeah. And I'm like, yo, can I
Okay.
shadow you? And they like, nah, bro. They
They're
like,
not taking you
you,
seriously.
they like, nah. I mean, they'd be like, yo, you a security guard, bro. Like, you're not about to become no doctor. But there was this one guy, man. He's a trauma surgeon. You might know him, Patrick Greifenstein, Dr. Patrick Greifenstein. He's at
Name not
LSU.
familiar.
He's at LSU. He trained at Miami and I think he trained at Miami for trauma and then at LSU for general surgery.
I'm
And
from that pedigree though, because I did my fellowship at Miami. So,
oh yeah, so yeah.
but
Miami is a place for trauma surgery.
yeah.
It is the place, I think. But he was coming in for an appendectomy late at night. He didn't really know how to navigate that hospital. And he came through the ER and was like, "Yo, can you help me get to the OR?" And I was like, "Sure." We was passing up the morgue. And I seen his jacket. He was the chief surgery resident. And I was like, yo, you really a surgeon? He was like, yeah. I was like, well, you think I could shadow you? And he was way shorter than me. So I think he was kind of intimidated. And we was walking
How
by
tall are you,
ourselves. He
man?
was like 6'3". So he
You
was
six
like,
three?
yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah.
yeah. I wouldn't
So,
have got there. Yeah.
so he was like, yo, yeah, I get that. I think you can't shadow me. I was like, well, give me your cell phone number then. He
Hmm.
gave me his cell phone number and I called him like literally the same night. I stayed in the hospital overnight that night because I worked the 4 to midnight shift as a security guard. And I just stayed in the library and studied all night till the next morning. And when he came in,
What'd you
I saw
study?
him I was studying for OChem. Like I was just standing there and just study all night.
So you was going down that pre med route at that point. You
Yeah,
was taking your
yeah,
prereqs. Got
yeah.
you.
But I
Okay,
was
now this is
asking
making
doctors
sense.
like,
Okay.
yeah. And it's funny because like I had this thing, yo. So you know how like you could go to the medical library at any hospital and they got old books just sitting in there,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. Nobody really read them. Yo, I used to pick up them heavy books and just walk around with them and act like I was studying, like I was in medical school.
Hmm.
Like, just like,
You just want to act the part.
yeah, I wanted to envision what it was going to be like. Nevertheless, I met him the next morning. We went in to go do a mastectomy, and the attending was a black guy,
Hmm.
Dr. Peter Bostic. He's like a world-renowned oncology breast surgeon, and he ended up chopping it up with me in the doctor's lounge afterwards. And he was
No
like,
pun
"Yeah, you could."
intended.
Nah. And yeah, we and he told me like, man, yeah, you could become a doctor. Obviously, I didn't get into medical school the first time. I'm thankful I didn't. I'm so glad I went and did a PhD first because it made getting an MD free. So
Hmm. Oh, so you were an
uh
MD PhD student. Got you. That makes
nah,
sense.
I wasn't. I was a PhD student. But because I was a PhD student and I had like a crazy CV by the time I was applying to medical school, it was a no-brainer for medical schools to be like, yo, we should like get this dude a full ride. That's probably the only way we gonna get him, which is true.
Mm.
Because, at that time, medical schools were starting to think about full rides, like, full tuition for all of their medical students. And so when my second daughter was born, February 2018, that same morning, maybe like 30 minutes after she was born, I got an email from Tulane and they gave me a full ride for medical school.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I looked at my wife who was exhausted from having a baby and I was like, yo, we going home. She's like, yep, we going home.
Now back to that Dr. Bostic, excuse me.
Yeah, yeah,
So when he encouraged you to say that, okay, yeah, you could go to medical school or you could do this, right?
yeah,
Like you're saying like you're taking OChem, um, you getting ready.
yeah.
What's it like to be seen? Because I'm sure at that point, you were seen by the chief resident, and then now you're seen by someone who's well established, and they're saying like, nah, you can do this. Like, how did that make you feel?
Man, it was everything. It
Yeah.
was everything, bro. I went in the bathroom after he told me that, and I took the selfie of myself, like,
Mm.
and I was like, I'm gonna be a doctor. I was like,
Mm.
I'm gonna be a doctor, and it's crazy because I recently got his cell phone number, and I sent him a text message, and in the text message, I literally told him like, hey, I don't know if you remember who I am. Dr. Greifenstein was your surgery resident. But here's who I am now. And I was like, I'm Dr. Russell Ledet, MD, PhD, MBA, and I'm a triple board resident.
I think I'm sure you guys may have heard a little noise. That's me sharing the screen. I'm gonna share the screen. This is what you talking about right here.
Yeah, yeah, that was a moment, man. It
Hmm.
was everything to me, man, to be able to send him that text message.
You want to
And
read that? Read that, yo. Read that, yo. Let
yeah,
people see that.
my name is Russell Ledet. I'm not sure you remember me, but I used to shadow you by way of Dr. Patrick Greifenstein, who is the former LSU General Surgery Chief Resident during the time of my shadowing. I was a security guard at the time when I was shadowing you and Patrick. I'm not sure you remember talking to me when we were in the doctor's lounge after a mastectomy. I'm not sure you remember encouraging me to do well on the MCAT or telling me to becoming a doctor wasn't outside of the realm of possibility. I wanted you to know I never forgot what you told me. I am now Russell J. Ledet, MD, PhD, MBA, and I'm a triple board resident at Indiana University, specializing in pediatrics, adult psychiatry, and child and adolescent psychiatry. I'm in my second year of residency. I was recently elected into the AOA. My kids are healthy, and my wife and I are closing in on 20 years of marriage. Thank you for encouraging me then, and know I took your words seriously. It
Yo, he
meant
respond back
everything,
to you?
man. Yeah, he did.
He
He
did?
told me he
Okay.
was like, I told him I was like, yo, I'm gonna take you to lunch when I come home, and he was like, bet I'll take it. He was like, I'll
Okay.
take it. So it's gonna be a moment, man. It's everything, man. That dude, the crazy thing is, I can still hear his voice because I think I believed what he was saying. Like it felt like what he was saying. He said it with conviction. It meant everything, man. It meant everything. I still to this
So
day like, bro.
so let's transition because like I think right now, I think you established the importance of like mentorship and the importance of
Yeah,
people just seeing you, right? Even if you
yeah,
haven't reached that point, but just recognizing some talent in you or recognizing that, hey, like you have the ability 10 years, 15 years from now to be in my role, in my seat, right? Which is a
yeah.
very powerful thing. That's what happened to me when I was in high school. Someone, as I was going into school, someone said, hey, listen, I think you can become a physician
Wow.
and this is the steps. And it was a very rocky set of steps ahead, but I made it, right? And that conversation was very pivotal to me.
Yeah,